They said you were the best in the parsec. Don't you agree?
Welcome to
Parsec Passion, a podcast about the Mandalorian. Today we're talking Chapter 4, The Sanctuary. My name's Bubba, and with me as always is...
Catfish. Bubba, you do that so swimmingly. I think we're going to start to get a lot more written reviews on iTunes because the people have spoken and they think that you do a strange old German man better than I do.
Well, I am very full. It's Thanksgiving week here in the States. I had a big Thanksgiving meal of delicious krill and some lothcat. So I'm pretty full. Listeners, once again, we're breaking down Chapter 4. We're part of Double P Media. You can reach out to us at Double PHQ on Twitter and Instagram. That's the word double, the single letter P, the letters HQ for headquarters, at Double PHQ on Twitter and Instagram. Facebook.com/Double PHQ. This episode feels slightly different from the others. So, Catfish, what is your ranking out of 10 for Chapter 4, The Sanctuary?
Well, I'm going to give it 7, of course, what you have to refer to it as triple Bs.
Of course, but just in case anybody's listening who doesn't remember what we refer to as triple B. Triple B?
Yeah, bone broth babies. Twoda loves the bone broth. He sips it like a pro. Like, he's been drinking it from way back.
What did you give last week's episode? I don't remember.
I think I gave last week's episode a 7 as well. So the first 2 I loved, kind of dipping down here as the story gets further away from grief and any discussions of parsecs. I think, but my concern is, I guess we're just going to have a bunch of side quests, and this is not really kind of what I wanted, although I do recognize what they're trying to do. So I feel like maybe I'm in conflict of what I want versus what they're trying to do. But also, listen, you don't have to be a Mandalorian to know that leaving Twoda on the planet, he's going to be safe. No, there's absolutely no shot. He is on the run. I mean, I think we know how the fobs work, and that is you need to be kind of on the same planet as them, and then they'll start to go off. We don't know exactly what sets it off. Is it some sort of DNA marker? How is it? Did somebody put some sort of conducive material inside of his swank new suit? But
I think they fed him a frog with a tracker in it.
Twoda learns an important lesson here, and that is that eating frogs freaks kids out, but they're still delicious.
I was going to say, wait till he drinks some green milk like Luke did there in The Last Jedi at the beach.
Delicious. So, Bubba, what is your ranking for The Sanctuary, Episode 4 of The Mandalorian?
Well, I might go off on a bit, but I'm going to rank this 8, what I like to call double H's out of 10.
Oh, double H. Wait. Oh, no, I knew about double H's. What are double H's again?
Double H refers to when a character is helmet horny. This widow in the village, she got horny for that helmet. She wants to touch it. She wants to take it off. Gentlemen, you know the lady is liking your stuff if she's a little double H, helmet horny. I, of course, am jealous. I'm thinking now I need to start wearing helmets to the club. It might help me. Catfish, this whole time you've been talking about, well, geesh, it's an actor in a helmet. We don't see his eyes. We don't see his expressions. We don't really see his reactions. For me, this episode felt very different because of an issue of we now have kind of a buddy road movie where one of the buddies doesn't speak. So to explain to the audience, okay, why is the Mando flying to this planet? What is his thought process? He has to explain it to Baby Yoda, or tween Yoda, as we like to call him, Twoda. And so he's kind of saying things where in the first couple episodes, he didn't have to talk so much. He talked an awful lot in this. There was an awful lot of talking in this episode, which was very different from the first 3. The second episode, there wasn't talking for like the first 12 minutes or so.
Right.
And so the fact that this one was so chatty felt different, and I think that's why you're seeing some of the feelings about it online of the Mando kind of has to talk so much and there's so much things. Hey, let's talk about our feelings. The reason why I went up to 8, where I was a bit down on last week's episode, is 2 weeks ago in Chapter 2, The Child, when they had that montage at the end of Mando and Nolte fixing his ship. I was humming in that podcast, I was humming the A-Team song, like dun, dun, dun. This was an episode of the A-Team. The A-Team was a show, younger listeners, that was on when I was a kid. It was in the 80s. It was about these mercenaries who would go around and help people. And, they'd leave at the end of every episode because they were wanted for a crime they didn't commit. And a bunch of kids, we watched it. We knew, or at least let me say I did, and I'm certainly not an Einstein, we knew in the 80s that the A-Team really wasn't a good show. But this episode tickled me because it was like, what if you spent $10 million to make an A-Team? And because of that, like, what if you made a good episode of the A-Team? Because of that, I actually found myself charmed by it a lot of the times. I'm with you. This wasn't the show I would have wanted. Isn't the show I would have made, a bunch of side quests, having a mini A-Team episode in it. But where last week's was very predictable, and the whole series has been predictable, but last week, like, it was predictable and unenjoyable. This was very predictable, but it was almost enjoyable in how much, in the little twist. There were little things that I didn't see coming. I may have been naive, but when the bounty hunter had his scopes on Baby Yoda, even though Baby Yoda can't die, I tensed up. So I'm going 8 out of 10. That's my initial thought.
You can't do that. You can't threaten Baby Twoda. I will come for you if you threaten Baby Twoda. See, now, I found this, we have said over and over again, this is Western cliches. They're going through the whole book. It just turns on whether you enjoy other things in the episode or they do kind of a twist on it. And
right.
For this one, I mean, I just don't believe that he's going to be suckered away from being a Mandalorian. It's been so important to him, and he's only been, in this town for like a day and a half.
Hey, guys.
You did kind of sense from his voice kind of a wistfulness.
Mm-hmm.
That was good, but I just didn't believe he was going to be taken away, that he was going to decide to change his life. I also knew instead of him that there was no way that Twoda was going to be safe on this planet. So some of those things that they did, I didn't find them enjoyable because they were just delaying tactics that were not believable. That's the kind of the issue I had. I mean, we did definitely have some amazing. If I were to give rankings on these shows purely on Twoda deliciousness, this would be a 10. The things that happen with Twoda, which we'll talk about. I want to ruin them all now because when we get to them, I won't be able to do my my younger person squee about the different things that Twoda does. But yeah, the other thing was, I was complaining about, I think we need more talking. And then, as expected, I wasn't too into the person who was talking, the new character we were introduced to this week. Well, we were introduced to a couple, but one we think will come back. Who knows? Maybe both of these women could come back. It is strange when you go to a planet and you're like, okay, can anybody shoot? And there's one person who can shoot really well. It's kind of strange.
And they're the ones
there might be multiple backstories going on here.
I love it. Listeners, we're going to break down this episode even further. We're going to get to your wonderful feedback. We'll read your very kind podcast reviews. I want to talk something right at the top, Catfish. There was an article online I found. It's from the Forbes magazine and Forbes website, Forbes.com. The headline of the article, Star Wars fans aren't arguing about The Mandalorian, and it's weird. The point of the article is if you go back to pretty much Return of the Jedi, people have always kind of been arguing about these films. Now, sometimes the arguments are in good fun. Like, some people are like, boy, I didn't like those Ewoks. Other people are like, oh, the Ewoks are so cute. And sometimes the arguments get very nasty, like, oh, why did he kill Luke? Or why did Lucas with the prequels kill my childhood? But this does seem to have general agreement. Like, if people have trouble with it, it's like minor troubles. And some people just love it, and people don't mind that other people love it. Like sometimes people are like, how could you like that prequel? How could you like Attack of the Clones?
I mean, we have had direct experience with this.
Oh, yeah.
That you have someone in your life who is, I would say, generally likes to just sort of run things down. The initial reaction is that was horrible, and they are really enjoying this series. So it is interesting. I don't know whether it has to do with the series itself or the fact that it's sort of separate from the rest of the universe but still in the universe. So, we don't have to worry about what this says about any of the characters that are beloved to us.
Right.
It's not like, what did you do this to? Why did you do this to the Mandalorian? I mean, what is your opinion? Is it because it's separated from the rest of everything else, or is it something about the series itself?
Catfish, that was a great point you just made. My initial thought on why this is generally beloved is two things. Number one, I think it is good. I think it's easy to see it's good. But number two, I almost think the simplicity of it, people are just going with. It's like, okay, this week he's got to get his parts back from the Jawas. All right, let's see it. Let's have some fun. And so the simplicity of it, I think actually... there's nothing to fight about. Like some people, what is somebody going to say? Oh, he should have slaughtered all the Jawas. He should have set them all on fire. Maybe you could argue that, but there aren't those story beats or character beats to really fight about. I mean, here you said just a couple of minutes ago that you were like, the Mandalorian should have known, I can't just leave this kid here on this planet and he'll be fine. This kid's going to be wanted forever until we take down the people who are putting this bounty on him. That's obviously what anybody who really thinks about this would have to say. But notice you said it and you didn't, you weren't like, oh, come on. Because there is so much enjoyable, because Baby Yoda is so fun when it does have missteps. And for some people, it hasn't had any missteps. But when it has had some missteps, you can't get that angry about them, right? Or at least I don't. And it doesn't seem like most people online are.
I mean, I think, too, they have, of all the things that they have created in this universe, I think there is pretty much universal acclaim that Twoda is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? We got something everybody agrees on.
I'm completely impervious to cute things, especially small babies. Even real babies, I'm completely immune to. It's only puppies that work for me. But this... I have just been completely charmed by Twoda. They're doing it right. Everyone loves Twoda. Twoda 2020.
He can bring our divided country together. He can bring our divided world together.
It's not too late to get in, especially because he never instituted stop and frisk.
Right. If Bloomberg needs some juice, bring Baby Yoda out on the campaign trail. Let's do it. Mm-hmm. Catfish. Now, because I read this article and I generally felt right. Yeah, a lot of people aren't really fighting about The Mandalorian. I thought I would bring up something that could maybe create some fights. Okay, so...
Okay, good. Yeah, so, I like it.
With these 4 episodes, we haven't even really reached 2 hours worth of content yet. We're close, though. And so if this was a movie, where would it rank in your Star Wars movie rankings?
Oh, boy. Where it would rank would be above Solo and the prequels. That's where it ranks for me.
All right, that's pretty good.
So it's still the originals. It's still episodes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Rogue One, and then Mandalorian.
I don't know. I love those final 30 minutes of Rogue One so much, but I might boost this above Rogue One in my rankings. It's tough. Right. It's tough. That last 30 minutes, I think, had better thrills for me and better tenseness and better action. But this has been so fun. Boy, that would be close in my rankings. Listeners, we bring up these things not really to start fights and internet and Jabba sale bars. Fight. I'm using reverse psychology, Catfish, to...
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm using just regular psychology.
Okay. But tell us what you think. Do you agree with us that there hasn't really been many fights? Do you agree with the article that there hasn't been many fights? If you were going to rank these first 4 episodes, where would you put them in your movie ranking? This seems to be a question we'll come up to at the end of season 1, too, even though that'll be much longer. All the content will be much longer than a movie. It'll still be interesting at the end of season 1 to ask where it would go in your rankings.
Well, the other thing is that we always talk about the running time. You know, I had family in town this weekend, and we watched it. And my brother-in-law, before we watched it, was like, you know, the episodes are in like 20 minutes each. And I'm like, first of all, that's completely wrong. Yes, okay, they're short, but none of them are anywhere near 20 minutes.
Not yet.
But still, we are halfway through the season.
Oh, wow. I wish you hadn't said it like that. This is going by quick, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going by too quick, and it feels like this is a very kind of abbreviated thing. And so that's part of what my disappointment is like, if this was 13 episodes, whatever, I wouldn't mind like a little aside. I mean, I guess what they're trying to do here, I understand what they're trying to do is his sad life, and maybe it could be better, but I think we already kind of got that idea. The only thing that was great here was I was finally right, and he took his helmet off. So I win.
Wait a minute.
There's no need to go back to the preview podcast to say when I said it would happen.
What?
Helmet off. He took his helmet off.
Oh, man. Here we go. We're going to get to, listeners, we're going to get to your feedback on our ongoing #helmet on, #helmet off debate. But Catfish, we may want to go back to that preview podcast.
There's no need to listen to it. My memory is never faulty.
Never faulty at all. Well, listeners, you are also not faulty, and we're going to get now to your reviews you've been kind enough to give us. If you give us a written review on any of these podcast platforms, let's say on the more obscure ones, please send us a note at PHQ and tell us you've given us a review. We're going to be giving away some sort of Baby Yoda prize at the end of the season to people who give us written reviews. It'll be a Baby Yoda t-shirt, Baby Yoda gym towel, Baby Yoda.
It might be Baby Yoda's bone broth.
Right? Oh, boy, that'd be good. Nothing like a New Year's Eve present. So once again, give us those written reviews. Let us know you've had a review, and we'll read it on air. Why don't we read some of these from Stitcher at the beginning, and then we'll talk about the episode some, and then read some more later. So, Catfish, do you see these reviews we got from Stitcher?
I do. We got 5 out of 5 stars from Lord Guppies.
Ooh, thank you.
Yeah. The title is Double P Does It Again.
Thank you.
Been listening since Game of Thrones and always enjoy hearing these guys get excited about cool shows. I will be back to hear them gush over Baby Yoda until my signet is revealed.
Oh, thank you so much, Lord Guppies.
I wonder if it's possible to have Baby Yoda as a signet.
I think it could be. It may not scare people, like if your signet's supposed to be something, be like, look at this badass animal. This is what I am. And instead it's like...
It just occurred to me that we'll really know the full power of this series 20 years from now when we see how many people are wearing the modern version of a signet, and that is Baby Yoda tattoos.
Oh, man. That is a great point. That is a great... If anybody knows any Baby Yoda tattoos, send them our way. We want to see them.
Amazing. This is what we should give one of our listeners. Yeah, we'll pay for it. You have to go get a Baby Yoda tattoo. All right, and then D-Train gives it 5 out of 5 stars. He says, yes.
Thank you.
If you've been enjoying The Mandalorian on Disney+, as I know you have, then you're going to love this podcast. They do a great job breaking down each episode with knowledge, wit, and humor. I'm already hooked. Thanks for doing this podcast. Hey, you're welcome.
Thank you, D-Train. That's 2 more entries into our big giveaway after episode 8, of The Mandalorian. Love it.
Yes, by season 8, we'll be able to buy you that tattoo.
So, Catfish, this episode, Chapter 4, opens with the cold open featuring neither Baby Yoda or the Mandalorian. It introduces us to a cute, charming village where they've got this cool droid walking on long legs. The people are fishing out some beautiful fluorescent blue shrimp. Yummy.
Children are torturing frogs. I'm telling you, there's a lot of, there seems to be a lot of, I don't know if this is anti-Kermit sentiment in this series. A lot of frog hate.
It is. And this cute little girl, this little button of a girl is chasing a frog. And suddenly, I forget if it's the score that turns, but something lets us know. Don't go any further, kid. This is rough. And out bust the Marauders, the Klatooinians, I believe it is. Klatooinians, whatever.
Klatooinians?
Yeah,
I can't tell.
Catfish, what is the famous sci-fi movie that these Star Wars aliens come from? So it's like Nikto, Klaatu. Oh, what is that? Oh,
well, that's the Klaatu Barada Nikto.
Okay, yeah. What's that? What movie is that from?
Right?
Is that from
the day the Earth stood still?
I love it. So back when Return of the Jedi came out, Lucasfilm named some of these aliens after that phrase, and these are them. And from a distance, I didn't like them too much, but when they cut to a close-up of like that leader, I thought, oh man, that's a pretty good mask. That's a pretty good effect.
I mean, I thought originally, am I watching the right thing? Why is this village being attacked by orcs?
They need the One Ring, or they need one ring and all the krill you have.
Exactly. Listen, this ring chasing is hungry business.
But they didn't slaughter everybody. They really were just for supplies and food. What jerks. Kill me first.
Well, I gotta say, it's the smart move, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because if you kill everybody who produces the food, when you come back, again, no one will have produced any food.
It's right. If you teach a man to fish, so what? But if you teach a man to fish and then steal the fish from him, gold.
And then leave him alone so he can fish again. The best.
Did you like the cold open? Even though it is setting up a Western trope, it's the trope. I keep mentioning A-Team, but the A-Team was based on these tropes. Everybody in their reviews is talking about the Seven Samurai.
Yes, exactly. The Seven Samurai.
Well, my favorite Western, Clint Eastwood Western, is Pale Rider. And it's pretty much the same concept. The gunslinger's going to protect the downtrodden against the bad guys. It is the trope.
Yeah, I mean, I did remember, I was a little bit older by the time I watched Seven Samurai. But that is a great, great movie. Mm-hmm. And for like 4 years after that, Toshiro Mifune was my favorite actor. He's sort of the scalawag who finally rallies everybody together.
Yeah.
It's so good. So good. Such a good movie. And so, I mean, I did enjoy this opening, but I was like, just give me Twoda. That's all. Bring me Twoda.
So we cut to Twoda after the little title credits, and then he's just flipping switches. What a troublemaker.
That little scamp. He is a scamp.
I really just thought the Mando should take some of that calamari flan and buy another floating Bjorn so he can close it and keep the kid in place. He's walking out of the ship.
I don't know. The kid kept crawling out of it.
I know. Well, lock it somehow.
When he was preparing his army.
For goodness sake, he's like, okay, kid, you stay here. He lowers the ramp to the Razor Crest, his ship. The kid's coming with him. And, oh my God, come on. This kid walks so slow. You're never going to get anywhere, Mando.
First of all, completely the right move. I would not leave this kid on my ship unless I could completely power it down so any button he pressed wouldn't do anything. The kid would be a menace alone on that ship.
Oh, yeah. He would be. He would. You come back, or you go to the tavern, and there's suddenly a giant explosion in the distance, and you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah, right, exactly. I had written down the same thing. I was like, how fast can Twoda walk? I mean, my God.
So Mando is going to this planet to lay low, and the first thing he does when he gets to the planet is, hey, let's go to this population center and get some food.
Mm-hmm.
They'll never find me here.
Let me show off all my shiny armor, which is blatantly clear what I am.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody ever showed up, they'd be like, Mandalorian? I don't think I... Oh, yes, of course, obviously there was a Mandalorian here.
I think they needed to, when they walked in, the barkeep needed to look at Baby Yoda and say, we don't serve his kind here. In honor of 3PO and R2 in the original movie. But he goes in and I should point out there's a creature that has only been seen in some of the animated shows. I think it's called a sloth cat. And it's there and it snarls at Baby Yoda. Not a fan. And he's in there and of course he is a total man. He spots the cutest girl in the bar, and he's eyeing her. Way to go, Mando.
I think, as opposed to what would be your normal move, I think his reason is she looks like the only person in there who could cause him trouble. She has been around the system.
She has. That's a nice way to put it. And we're getting to this actress.
That's not what I meant, but yes, it's perfect.
We're getting to this actress who we joked about on the preseason podcast, Catfish. Here she is.
Gina Carano.
And you and I saw Gina Carano's first real kind of movie. It was Haywire, wasn't it? A starring vehicle. She came from mixed martial arts and cage matches and the octagon. And here she's an actress. And in that movie, just to be honest, she really wasn't much of an actress. She's in this episode. What did you think?
I think she's not much of an actress.
Oh, Catfish.
You set me up for it. How could I resist? I mean, this is her, essentially, whenever she shows up anywhere, this is the role she's playing. Obviously, it fits her persona, the sort of wisecracking, tough lady who's not going to take any guff, sort of cynical and sarcastic. It worked for me. It's good for him to have somebody who sort of shares his worldview, I guess, and also she made for a good sparring partner. And we got to have the what I like to call a John Woo moment.
Oh, where they're both laying on the ground, pointing their guns and blasters at each other. I loved it.
Exactly. I think that's the iconic John Woo moment, only above the one where Chow Yun-fat is holding a baby, and I can't remember the movie. Oh, it's something about tomorrow, I think. And he's like dealing with a fire, and then the baby pisses on the fire to put it out while he's holding the baby. Classic John Woo.
I'm worried you just spoiled Chapter 5 next week, Catfish. But let me say about sorry, go.
You drink that bone broth. You got to get rid of that real quick. Goes right through you.
Let me say that Gina Carano, I did think she had trouble in her starring vehicle, but because I had such low experience with her and low expectations, I thought she did pretty good in this. I thought she was fine in this.
Yeah, I think she's good. I mean, I wonder why they do that. I mean, I presumably, some people might think, oh, she's a martial artist, so that means she's going to do her own stunts. My guess would be she did not.
Yeah, me neither.
I mean, she might have done some of the lower level ones, but not all of them. And then I was thinking, this is amazing. Then I wondered how often the stuntman is actually the Mandalorian stuntman is actually in that costume.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if sometimes our boy's like, nah, I'm just a little tired this morning. Could he just do the regular scenes?
Right. But are you saying even when he's lying on the ground, all he has to do is lie on the ground and point a gun at Gina Carano? He's like, that's a lot of work. Stuntman.
Yeah. That looks dangerous. Lying on the floor, dangerous.
And, of course, this created another meme of they're pointing their guns at each other and who is taking it all in, sipping his tea.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Highlight of the episode. I have to say, for people who listen to me, maybe they're just listening to me on this podcast. They don't know what a cynical, hard-hearted person I am, and the fact that I have been totally melted by Twoda is stunning even to me. But him sitting there sipping, it's like, y'all done? Are you gonna keep doing this? I mean, amazing.
Well, earlier when the Mando went out to track down Gina Carano, I kind of thought to myself, and he flips some money to the barkeep, and he's like, watch the little one. I'm like, the little one is it, dude. You got to keep it with you at all times. Have somebody else watch the little one. This kid, people want to kill it, man. Yeah,
he does seem a little cavalier about, Twoda. I mean, there's two ways you can go about it, right? I mean, he does have a soft spot for Twoda. He's not like, get your hands off that. Of course, if he did that, we would be anti-Mandalorian. He's got to do one of two things. He's got to keep Twoda hidden away so that nobody can report on him, although that's useless since he's so obviously the Mandalorian with Twoda. Or he's got to keep his eyes on him the whole time.
Either or.
He did neither of those things.
Hold on. You know what? To test this out, I'll take nephew Paul into a bar and then flip some money at the barkeep and say, watch this kid for a bit, and then I'll leave. Let's see how it goes.
I mean, it depends. I mean, I don't know. Is nephew Paul like one of the top 5 freaking adorable things on the planet right now?
Oh no, he's doomed.
I'm setting a high bar because I don't want to disparage nephew Paul, but it's a high bar right now.
All right, Paul, you saw Chapter 4 of The Mandalorian. What did you think?
It was very, very good. I wanted him to end up in the village so we could see his face for the first time. I wanted to see if he was an old dude or a young dude, just because I wanted to see his face for the first time.
All right, Paul, now you can say anything you want, even satire.
Okay, so my favorite part of The Mandalorian Chapter 4 was when the guy started, putting his sledgehammer through the door, and he says, "Here's Vader!" I also liked it when, randomly the tribe migrated to Arendelle, and they built a dam, and then suddenly the Mandalorian was like, "They're scamming us!" And then he just grabbed a gun and shot everyone, and then Elsa died. Oh, yeah, and I really, really, really liked it when the zombie apocalypse came and they went to the White House and stuff. I mean, I really, really, really liked that. But most of all, I liked it the most when Baby Yoda died. The end.
Paul, you like being sarcastic and silly.
No, I don't.
We find out this character, Gina Carano's character, is Cara Dune, an ex-rebel shock trooper who was built for battles, not for kind of police work that she found after the evil empire was taken down in Return of the Jedi. And so she's seemingly gone AWOL and hiding out on this planet.
She does one of those, this planet isn't big enough for the both of us.
Well, I just thought, this is playground rules. Called it. I called it. Shotgun. I call the planet shotgun. You have to leave.
You would think an entire planet would be big enough for the both of them.
Apparently not.
Apparently
and
not.
The Mando backs down. He's like, okay, yeah, cool, let's leave.
Yeah.
As he goes back to his ship with Twoda, and he didn't get any food. Remember, the waitress offered him some food, and he's like, none for me, because it would have required probably taking off the helmet. So he goes back to his ship, and he runs into two comical goofball Jar Jars, one of whom starred on that great TBS show, Wrecked. And they're like,
God.
Hey, take care of our village, and we'll give you money, man. We'll give you money.
Just a brief aside, I was evangelistic for that show Wrecked. On one hand, I was happy, I was surprised it lasted as long as it did, because it was on TBS, and also sometimes they would just burn them off. But it is a truly funny show, and I don't know where you can watch it, but if you have not seen it and you like humor, I mean, it is just, Bubba, you and I, we like these more complex things, but also sometimes you just want silly stuff to laugh your butt off, and Wrecked was amazing.
But here he's left the TV show Wrecked, and he's gone to farm
Right.
some krill, and he's offering.
Well, we
Mando.
also have a fugitive from the Good Place.
Yeah, we do.
So yes, right? You see the two of them, and if you know their work, you're like, all right, well, I guess this is going to be the comic relief. Although, surprisingly, it wasn't that comic.
No, they weren't that comic. They were just wimps. I'm sorry. That's unfair.
Who knows whether they shot more or whatever, but it does feel like I wouldn't have minded a little bit of lowbrow, silly comedy here.
No, they later on in the episode, they're heartfelt. Hey, my grandpa dug these ponds of krill. They're the heartstrings pulling on the Mando. But right now, the thing that gets him to turn around is they're like, hey, we came all this way. Now we got to go back to the middle of nowhere. Wait, you mean on this pretty much abandoned planet, there's a middle of nowhere? Let's go.
Yeah, that was a little strange to me, especially after he was like, your money's no good here. Whatever you have, it's not crap. What is this like some sort of krill-based currency? I'm not interested.
Well, he uses that coin to hire Cara Dune and say, hey, Cara Dune, come join with me. We got to protect these people. It's probably nothing. We'll make some money and we'll be able to hang on the DL down low.
See, now this doesn't make any sense to me. This is part of where I had the problem with this episode, is that I just can't imagine he thinks he's going to show up somewhere with a lot of people, ask some questions, and then think he's going to be okay. That someone coming to the planet wouldn't go to find this bar and say, have you seen this person?
And based on what we've learned in the first 3 episodes, the Mandalorian seems scattered to the wind. It's harder to find a Mandalorian than it is Beskar steel. So I think just walking into that cafe wearing your Mandalorian armor is a sign that, hey, dude, you can't do that. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how this goes. Yeah, he's got to be smarter about it.
Yeah, I want to give him credit for something, right? Because he is this, and we've talked about how much we've enjoyed this before. The fact that he's sort of this iconic Western hero, that the show doesn't mind making fun of him. Mm-hmm. And also, he seems to be getting his butt kicked almost at every turn.
Oh, yeah.
So what would help us sort of identify with him more is if he made smarter choices. One of the two things, be more of a badass or don't do things that were the people in the audience are like, dumb.
But he's like pitching to Cara Dune as they ride back on this droid-controlled, it's not a speeder, I want to call it a floater, slow-moving vehicle. He's like, listen, we get to hang out in the backwaters for a couple of weeks, couple of months, we'll be good. And then he leans back and kind of man splits his legs. He's like, look at this, Cara Dune, as I lean back. I got it all figured out.
Now, here's another problem that I have is there's some logical reasons why you can explain him leaving his ship behind, but there's more reasons that he shouldn't leave his ship behind. Like,
good point.
If he needs to leave right away, it's better off. If someone discovers if he's worried about someone discovering his ship and then being found out, it's still better off that he would have his ship on him rather than having to bum another slow ride from these dudes to get back to his ship. So that's super strange. I mean, the first reason I thought of was like, why not just give him a lift? Because it's going to be super slow going this way rather than by ship. Mm-hmm. But in the end, you're safer if you're closer to your ship, I think.
No,
I don't know why he left it behind.
You know, this Mando, when he's around a pretty lady like Cara Dune, maybe he's just foolish.
Well, one kind of smart thing they do here is before anyone could try to ship him and the tough lady is that he comes across the woman in the village.
Yeah,
so we see that like. Yeah, so these are going to be the widow with the golden arm. Let's call her that, because she's the only one who knows how to shoot, and she really knows how to shoot. So so instead of us going, okay, this is going to be some sort of thing between them, this is obviously sort of a friendship, and he likes the softer ladies.
You say that, but I'm going to jump ahead a bit.
Okay,
maybe it's projecting or whatever. I was wondering if they were trying to set up a triangle. Because later on in the episode, with the widow, the Mando is standing, kind of on the porch of the lip of the hut there, and they're having a talk. And Cara Dune comes and stands literally between them in the shot. There's Mando on the left side of the screen, the widow on the right side. Cara Dune comes and stands in the middle and like, Mando, we got to go. We got to go scout and take down this. We got to scout the enemy and take down the walker. So
yeah, but I feel like you're missing her deeper thing there. And the only way I can explain it is, I mean, I think there were several times in the past when you might have been standing talking to a woman and I walk up and I'm like, hey, we got to go. And the only reason I'm doing it is because I'm busting your chops hard. And then afterwards you're like, what kind of wingman are you? And I'm like, well, just having fun, that's all.
A bad wingman is the correct answer.
Exactly. No.
So you're saying Cara Dune sees the Mando putting some moves on, and she's like, I got to kibosh this. That'll bust his chops.
Yeah, she's just busting his chops.
Damn it, Cara.
Believe me, I'll tell you. I'll tell you from personal experience.
Okay.
There's nothing more amusing.
Son of a Gundark. Listen to me. Let's go crazy. Let's ship some people. Would you prefer the Mando to end up with a widow who knows how to shoot because theoretically her husband got? Or would you prefer the Mando to be with a tough, kind of fighting equal, Cara Dune? If he had to, he's a guy, he could be single, I suppose. But if you had to ship him with somebody, who would you ship him with?
I mean, I think that is tough. I mean, he's too haunted to live the idyllic life. Even if he wanted to, he's got all these plans. He really, even apart from Twoda, it feels like he got saved by the Mandalorians, and so basically he's going to use the rest of his life to repay him. He needs a gun-toting toughie next to him.
Well, listen, the widow, and what's hilarious, I just call her the widow because Cara Dune referred to her as the widow. It'd be hilarious if Cara Dune is like, yeah, that widow likes you. And she goes, my husband's still here. We're divorced. We're separated.
Nothing tragic, but completely available.
Okay, well, listeners, you tell us. Did you like the Mando with the widow or with Cara Dune? Or is his only relationship being a papa to baby Twoda?
It is a buddy comedy.
It is. The kids love baby Twoda, don't they? And this is where, in some ways, I should revolt against this cloying attempt to have these cutie pie moments with kids playing with Baby Yoda. But it worked. I was like, oh, how cute. Oh, how funny.
How can you revolt against it when, if you got to play with baby Twoda, you would feel like a 5-year-old again? You're like, right. The only response you can have to those children is complete jealousy.
Those brats.
Those sons of guns.
Jump in the pond and basket out some krills, you brats. My Baby Yoda time.
Exactly.
So they find out.
This is where Twoda.
Oh, sorry. Go. I was going to say they find out that those marauders, those village raiders, have an ATST. Damn, moving on up.
Ouch. They sure do. I don't know where they got it from. I like that they've changed the lighting scheme inside the inside the
Right,
the,
get it
the
red and more
pod
menacing.
of the ATST. Yeah, exactly. Evil.
Well, it'd be like,
evil.
they made a bunch of Hummers after the first Gulf War. They're like, what are we going to do with these? So it was like the.
So you just sell them. You just sell them off to people who can use them. Although I imagine it might be difficult in a town like that to to find spare parts for it.
Right.
I mean, you might just end up parking it outside your hut just to scare
Mando
people
and Cara
away.
Dune see it. They come back to the village and like, okay, you got to move. You had a great time. Leave. We can't defeat it. Let's stop this, guys. And they're like, but wait a minute. We can't dig ponds like this again. That would take a couple of weeks.
My grandfather created these krill fields. Well, your grandfather's dead, and you'll be too if you don't leave.
But the Mando suddenly, maybe it's because of the widow, maybe it's because he just hasn't had any fighting in a while. He's like, but if we teach him to fight, then they can stay.
Right. Well, obviously, this should, for sure, we should be reminded that this is an experience that is anomalous to what he went through. Mm-hmm. Raiders destroying villages and stuff. Although, strangely, at the time, it didn't really occur to me.
When I was about those kids' age, they came and destroyed my village. The Mandalorians took me in. And this tragic backstory is turning on the double H of the widow. She is getting helmet horny.
She sure is. She could be prosecuted for the unwanted touching.
And so what did you think of
to
these
the helmet.
rules? He can take it off anytime as long as no one sees him. And then if somebody sees him, he'd never be able to wear it again. Oh, these rules don't make too much sense if you ask me.
I hate these rules. And again, these are, from what I've read, you know more in depth about all the ancillary things. What I've read, this is a far more stringent rule than has ever been mentioned before in this world, which is strange to make the rules more stringent for a show where that person is going to be the main character. This still means we could see him take his helmet off just as long as he's alone, right? I mean, that's not cheating because presumably, this is what I was thinking. I was glad he finally took it off when he was alone because I'm like, what is this? What does it look like under there? I mean, it's like he's got like a 12-foot beard. He's got like his eyebrows are 3 feet long. His hair's 12 feet. I mean, like, you got to do some personal grooming. Plus, I would think unless there's really good venting on that, all the grease from your skin, it probably has horrible acne under there.
He takes off the helmet at an open window where anybody could see him. That seems to break the rules in my book. Okay, everybody's looking at Baby Yoda.
But nobody does see him. Maybe he's just going to get more and more daring.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because he's just going to be like, oh, whoops, somebody saw me. Somehow I took my helmet off in a public bath and somebody saw me. Who could have guessed? I guess I can never put it back on again.
We do not want to see the adult content version of him and the widow where he still doesn't take off the mask.
I mean, I guess you're not allowed to have any intimacy, or it just has to be helmet on. That is strange. I mean, obviously, always use protection, but helmet is a little heavy.
All right, why don't we take a break right now and read the reviews we got on Apple Podcasts this week. We got, 1, 2, 3. We got 4 new reviews on Apple Podcasts this week. We are just about 72 reviews away from our goal of 100. So listeners, please keep them coming in. Why do we keep begging about these reviews? Why do we give away prizes for reviews? Well, last week I mentioned we were, if you search on Apple Podcasts, The Mandalorian, we were number 39. Guess what number we are this week, Catfish?
I'm going to guess. Let me guess. I'm going to guess 34. I think just 5 spaces, but I think we're slowly climbing up the charts.
No, we're number 69.
What?
We dropped down 30. Now, you might think, well, we gave you these reviews. How are you falling in the search? As I suspected might happen, the Star Wars podcast field is already pretty huge. But now, because so many people like the show, everybody's trying to get into this Mando space. Everybody wants a piece of Baby Yoda. And so we really, really need these reviews to stay on the charts and stay relevant. Thank you guys for giving them so much.
I can't believe this happened to us. I can't believe this happened to us.
It's tough. But these reviews make up for it. We got one from Will Rowe Hood, 5 stars. Wow, what a podcast. a brilliant podcast on The Mandalorian. Two awesome hosts. Catfish is a well-known comedic actor that you will likely remember from shows like Will and Grace, The League, Scrubs, Modern Family, and Brooklyn 999. Bubba is lesser known. Hey, wait a minute here. Go watch. I've sold a screenplay. You could go watch that terrible horror movie.
Lesser known.
Yeah, lesser known. Okay. But together they form a great team giving you their insight every week. Thank you so much, Will Rowe Hood.
Yeah, thank you especially. The Baby Yoda's in the mail, Will Rowe.
Wait, what?
Oh, sorry. That was just a personal thing I had between me and Will Rowe.
Okay.
Then Setonhoff gave its review 5 stars. Title, great show. Longtime listener to these podcasts. Always entertaining. Thank you, Setonhoff.
Thank you so much. We got Willow Storm 78. 5 stars. Baby Yoda forever. Bubba and Catfish always deliver a great recap of each Mandalorian episode. Very enjoyable. Best podcast in the galaxy. Beyond the parsec in the entire galaxy. Thank you so much.
I mean, that's pretty good. I have to say. That is pretty good. We are definitely Gronk's favorite Mandalorian podcast right now. But besides that, it's just them and Willow Storm.
Well, how about Havail? What did they give us?
Oh, they said 5 stars. Nanu. Love this breakdown on The Mandalorian. Would only be better if our other favorite alien and egg joined from time to time. Hashtag Orcalorian.
Now, Catfish.
That refers to Mork, our fellow member of the Double P Media team, who is very, very busy working on lots of other things right now and has not really had time to watch The Mandalorian, sadly, depriving his life of much joy.
Right, and we mentioned that I've sold the screenplay. Catfish is a professional actor. Mork is producing shows, and there is a chance that he might actually have some connections to some people attached to The Mandalorian. Don't want to reveal who or what. So for conflict of interest, we're just kidding. He's busy. Either way, we'll try to have him on. I hope he catches up.
That is true. I forgot about that as well. Yes, it is slightly dangerous for me to do these completely non-remunerative podcasts and potentially say bad things about someone I might be standing in front of wanting a job one time. But you know what? For you loyal listeners, I'm throwing caution to the wind.
It's out there in the wind, just like our heroes. Boy, terrible transition. The Mando and Cara Dune
segue.
As they sneak into the enemy's encampment. First things first, there are 2 guys huddled around a campfire. Let's take them out. Then let's go into a tent and blow up the tent. But the bad guys start attacking while we're in the tent. The timer is going lower and lower and lower. We got to get out of here. Oh, snap. Then we escape. Crap, the ATST is chasing us. What'd you think of this first real action set piece in the show, Catfish?
Well, it was a little surprising, their concern, because after all, this was their plan, to rile everybody up and then get the ATST to come in and fall into the drink and then have these villagers with horrible aim pot shot the Klatooinians.
Right,
So I was a little concerned. To me, and I could be wrong, their plan seemed to go swimmingly. They got a bunch of people, they got everybody riled up, and they ran the heck out of there.
I loved it. I loved the fact they couldn't get out of the tent. They're like, okay, 2 guys came in, we killed them. Okay, now 2 more guys came in. Oh, wait, a 3rd guy came in. Oh, wait, more guys are coming in. I thought that was great. This is hard to believe because I mentioned that it's 10 to 15 million an episode. But they don't have the budget of the big movies, so we get one ATST, and we get a bunch of masked fighters, and it's an action set piece, and I liked it.
It's really good. This part here, we get into the old Seven Samurai. You know, there's only so much that the professional fighters can do. Now the villagers have to stand up for their town.
Heck yeah. And they do a pretty good job, even those comedic actors. With their spike sticks.
Yeah, you know what? They learned how to appropriately push them out.
Now, let me ask you, is slaughtering them a bit harsh a punishment for shrimp stealers?
I mean...
Have you ever had somebody steal some of your shrimp and then you slaughter them?
I mean, I feel we need to use a different example. If every week after you came home from the grocery store, somebody came in and totally wiped out your cupboards and your fridge... things would get a little tough after a while. It doesn't matter whether you had some delicious pita chips in there or just the fridge and the shelves were stocked with krill. Either way, That's all you've got.
Okay, all right. But I say a slap on the wrist. You know, this isn't the 3 strikes and you're out law. My first offense.
Now,
Yeah.
the ATST, their plan doesn't go exactly as they set it up because this ATST is maybe not so dumb about what water means as they thought that it would be.
Right, but Cara Dune said, I'm just going to bug this thing so much, it's going to want to crush me with its foot. So she jumps into the pond. She's shooting her blaster, or excuse me, the Mando's shock blaster up into the cockpit. Loved it. You have to get that thing moving. You have to take it down. They take it down. Then the Mando, who's been hiding this whole time, he sneaks out, whoop, 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 whoop. Drop a grenade in there. Bob's your uncle. Bad guys taken care of. Easy peasy.
Love it. Love it. It was not as difficult. And you also have to say, as sort of, let's just say in some cases, as adult as this series is, I think on Disney Plus, I think that one of the villagers might have chipped a nail during this fight, and that's the entirety of the village losses.
That's a good point, Catfish. Like in Return of the Jedi, a couple Ewoks bit it. We don't have any scene of any of the villagers. You know, none of the kids obviously got it. Hell, I'm not even sure a Krill was injured.
Maybe one Krill. That would have been great if they were walking through the village with just a little tiny little casket.
Aww.
Carl the Krill, R.I.P.
And of course, his funeral is being flushed down the refresher. So we have what seems like a happy moment. The Mando says his plan that you don't like, that I don't like. He's like, I'm going to leave the little child here, and I'm going to go on my own way. Everything's happy. Even though he has this connection with the widow, they have had a couple of moments. Mm-hmm. He's ready to ghost.
Yeah, he's out of there, and it's hard to interpret. I mean, in one way, you could say to yourself, again, this is just the problem I had with it. Like you looking at it, you have to say like, this is a completely dumb move. And he can't possibly be thinking this way. And then your next thought would be, well, he doesn't really care. He just wants to get this thing out of his hair. But I don't think that's what the case is.
No.
So it's a bridge too far to believe that he would think, okay, job done, completely safe. Every bounty hunter in the universe is looking for this kid, but he's fine now.
He's fine.
No one will either know that I was in town or hear about a Mandalorian and someone else completely wiping out an ATSD.
It's just local folklore.
Yeah, no reason to check it out.
But, of course, that bounty hunter with a tracking fob, just the sound of that fob is actually kind of awesome, isn't it? It lets you know there's trouble. He gets the Mando's head in his target. The lovely widow is removing the helmet. Uh-oh, is Pedro Pascal's first scene without his helmet going to be his last? But no, then he says, oh, wait, I can just blow away Twoda. Oh, man, so tense. It can't be tense. They can't kill Twoda. Cara Dune saves the day.
Thank God. Thank God for that.
Will we see, and he leaves, the end. Will we see Cara Dune again? Will we see this village and this lovely widow again? What are your thoughts? I think definitely Cara Dune. She's been out there promoting the show, the actress has. And so she'll be back, whether it's this season or not, I don't know. I mean, we've only had my boy Grief in 2 episodes, so that's about it. What do you think? When do we next see Cara Dune?
Well, you know, we keep seeing these great characters that we want to see again and again. The only problem is this now, is that once he leaves, and if Cara Dune not with him, you're going to have to sell, if they find each other again, that either he specifically searches her out, or she's able to find him when people with tracking fobs can't.
Boy, this is good thoughts. I mean, you know, you don't want to suddenly run into her in a cantina on a completely different planet and say, of all the cantinas in the world, she had to walk into this one.
Right, in the universe. I mean, I think I don't want to say we're desperate for other characters. We do love the other characters, but also so much so that we want to see them again. And we're not super. We don't want to keep meeting new characters. I mean, I guess you do want to expand this world, but I would like to see Cara again. I would like to see Ugnulti again. we're definitely going to see grief again, but I'm not sure how they're going to do that. So they've made it difficult for characters to recur in this world simply because the universe is so far-flung.
Right, and the show is so focused on Mando. We really don't have many scenes that the Mando's not there and a part of. You know, I mentioned the cold open. We saw the village, which didn't have anything to do with Mando before he arrived. But otherwise, this show is focused on him. If he sees it, if he experiences it, we see it. If he doesn't, we have no idea.
I mean, that's the other thing. It's like the episodes are so short and we don't have a lot of episodes. It's like, how much do I care about this village? None. I mean, I enjoyed it because we got to see Twoda learning life lessons about frogs. I guess they're to be captured and tortured but not eaten. That's what the children teach him. But yeah, I wonder what they're going to do with Twoda as far as is the end of this season going to be the Mandalorian finally figures out what it means that Twoda can do this, and does Twoda do something bigger? I mean, the horned beast was pretty big, but then we talk about, like, does he move a ship? Does he stop a whole bunch of people? Does he say, this isn't the bone broth you're looking for?
Baby Yoda won't be safe until you take out the people who are after him. And I think that has to be the final 4 episodes, I would assume. Or does this storyline go on throughout the whole run of the show? I wouldn't think it could, but you never know.
Well, here's another thing, right? I mean, Disney, the overarching corporate entity that it is, decided either because of Disney Plus coming down the line or for other reasons to stop all the Marvel shows that were on Netflix.
Yeah, they did.
Kind of early. But this is their own show. So the question is, I mean, to be honest with you, financially, who knows where their breaking point is? In other words, they want to keep making season after season after The Mandalorian when they've got so much other content that they're actually losing money making The Mandalorian, unless, of course, you want to count all that sweet Twoda cash that they're going to get.
They're going to make so much. They could probably double the budget based on.
That's true, actually. I mean, now that I say that, I mean, if they keep adding things that people go crazy for, that will definitely help them. But it's just curious. It's I don't know what their overarching plan is. I mean, since we know, again, more in the business, a lot of times when people pitch a show, they have a sort of more detailed arc for the first season, and then shorter arcs for, say, seasons 2 through 5. That used to be the magic number to get to 5 seasons. You'd presumably have 100 episodes, and that's when you can make all that sweet syndication money. So I don't know if they think we're going to make 5 seasons of this, maybe we won't get very far by the end of this first season.
Listeners, write us and tell us what you think. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/doublephq. Twitter and Instagram at doublephq. Let's get to your feedback. And we got this great feedback from a true Double L loyal listener, Bucho, who's at Fists of Bucho. That's Bucho on Twitter. And I'm pretty sure Fists of Bucho lives in New Zealand. Oh, we love all our listeners around the world. He wrote, "So stoked you two are doing The Mandalorian. The Joffrey podcast was my sunshine. I watched Strange and Norrell because of you, and I even listened to many of your Ash vs. Evil Dead episodes without ever getting to see that show.
That's too bad. Shot in New Zealand.
I know. Always need more Bubba and Catfish in my life. Thank you so much."
We are here for you. At Jesse_Dampolo says, as a Double L.
Huh?
Yeah, loyal listener. I'm so excited to listen to this at Double PHQ at Fit and Trim Podcast. This is some professional adding by Jesse.
Good work. Our good friend Chris Drinkwater, who's at Chris Drink W on Twitter, wrote, "Been a long-time listener to all your stuff and love it. But I'm in the UK and can't watch it yet, but I'm really looking forward to listening to the pods. I'm subscribed already, and he will watch once it drops in the UK in March of next year, 2020. Can't wait. I'm a proud winner of a Joffrey t-shirt for my beloved, and he loved the podcast we did about the TV show The Strain. Looking forward to connecting."
Probably more than you and Mork did.
Love it. Thank you so much, Chris.
Awesome. Before the Dragon podcast at B and then the number 4, the Dragon Pod says, helmet off, but face not revealed. Hashtag spoilers, hashtag the Mandalorian, hashtag helmet off, hashtag catfish was right at double PHQ. Oh, wait, I don't think he said that last thing, but I'll double check on that.
Yeah, let's verify. We also had Lisa Spahn, who's at Lisa S9, right? Beautiful eyeball acting abounded in this episode with a bunch of characters who weren't wearing masks. Oh, thank you so much.
Love it. Completely love it.
All right, Catfish, we got to burn through our segments, and I want to start off with a grief beef.
Oh, okay, yeah, do it.
Grief's beef, as you know, listeners, is a thing that we didn't like in the episode and or anybody who pissed off Carl Weathers. So my grief's beef this week is this waitress. Like, what a chatty Cathy. He asks you, hey, did you find out anything about, what's the story about that woman over there? How long's she been here? Nothing. He throws some coins at her, and you think, oh, she's going to reveal more facts. Nah, pretty much not. Listen, when I bribe you for information, give me something, waitress. I'm going to go to the Waffle House later, and I'm going to find out about other people in that Waffle House with some good old calamari flan. Woman, give it up. That's my grief's beef of the episode.
My grief's beef of the episode is all those little darn munchkins in the village. Who are they to tell little Twoda what he should and should not do with frogs?
Yeah.
Are they the same species as him? Maybe he needs to eat frogs to survive. So because those little village kids frog-shamed little Twoda, they get my grief's beef of the episode.
Now we go to the good grief. That means good things that we liked in the episode and or Carl Weathers getting happy and getting paid. My grief's beef of the episode is I asked a brother of mine. I was like, well, okay, which one would you ship? And would you ship the beautiful mercenary who can shoot or the beautiful widow who can shoot? And he responded, why not both? And so that's my good grief of the episode.
Wow. My good grief of the episode is the GIF, which I assume is going to be shared millions of times now. Anytime somebody does something wrong or you want to express chagrin, right there, you send them the GIF of Twoda with the bone broth. So for generating an amazing meme, my good grief is the bone broth baby, Twoda.
All right. Finally, our segment is the Mandalicious line of the week. Catfish, what are your nominees?
Sadly, the only one I have this week is when Twoda is playing all this stuff, and exasperatingly but not angrily, the Mandalorian says, "Stop touching things." That was my Mandalicious line of the week. Admittedly, it's not the best. So I'm going to defer to you, whichever one you come up with, unless it's completely horrible, and I will be the judge. What, Bubba, is your Mandalicious line of the week?
No, my Mandalicious line of the week, I didn't write it down verbatim. I apologize. It's a holiday weekend here in the United States, listeners. But it was pretty much Cara Dune like, you're screwed. You got to move. Let's go. My dad dug this pond. Yeah, well, your dad's dead. You're going to be dead in the pond if you don't move. I love it. I love people being realists.
I love it. Yeah, people being wise asses and realistic. That is definitely your thing. So, Bubba, we are halfway done with this first season, and we do know that they have started shooting season 2.
Oh yeah.
But as far as I know, there is no release date for season 2.
I think it's going to be a year from now. I bet it's November of 2020. Ooh, that seems so far away.
Boo and boo. I would think that who knows? They might want to pitch it so that it doesn't spill into the holiday season. So at least maybe we can hope that they'll move it to September or something like that.
I hope so too. Get it out sooner so we can have the holidays to focus on other Disney products, you shills.
Exactly.
For everybody here at the Mandalorian Parsec Passion Podcast, my name's Bubba. You can find me on Twitter at Fit and Trim. That's FITTENTRIM at Fit and Trim on Twitter.
And you can hit up the main Twitter account at double PHQ for all podcasts that are packed. And you can hit me up, Catfish, at CJGman67.
And you'll hear us next week on
Parsec Passion.
I had to make you say it one more time.
You're shaming me. You're shaming me. You're Werner shaming me.
Go eat some krill.